Well, in this video, we're going to be taking a look at my final couple of matches from Diamond 1 into Master 5, which we did hit on the Sunday evening. We'll take a look at this loss and then the 4-win streak that got us into the Master rank. Of course, we're using FLOOWANDEREEZE. Deck list video is linked in the description. With about 5 days left in the season, not sure if I'll have enough time to grind to Master 1, but we'll see how far we can get. Let's go ahead and take a look at how these matches went. First match, we are feeling pretty good. We hit Diamond 1 obviously on a pretty good win streak, and now we just need 4 more wins in order to get into Master rank. Starting off going second, nothing new. Our opening hand isn't the greatest, but hopefully we can unbrick with the Pot of Prosperity. The opponent starts off with the Scream and Grief, which is basically full combo for them. They are going to be able to get Kalos into a Search as well as trigger Scream, and the Scream mills are going to be absolutely insane for them. They get double Kelbeck and Sulik, so they're going to go ahead and search off of this and mill. And I don't really understand how Konami thinks that FLOOWANDEREEZE is a problem when there are so many other decks that are way more powerful, because what you're going to see here is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to try to catch it because the game usually ends as soon as I do it. So they actually milled pretty good, but I can't show it because the game like triggers that as a last action before I surrender. But they hit my 1-of map and my 1-of Empin, right? So what I basically have no extension there, even if I Pot of Prosperity or draw into something good. The opponent's going to continue milling with the Kalos, so they know what I'm on now. Like, they're going to set up a full negate board with like Dragostapelia, Crime, Sulik, probably bringing back from Heartbeat being milled because they're going to mill like tons of cards still. Probably mill an Yugioh and a Grave Shuffler, which means it's going to be impossible for me to get my Empin back during my turn. And it's basically just like GG. So like 1-of Empin, this kills me. 1-of map, this kills me. And just like I thought about this for a second and I was like, yeah, there's no point in me sitting this out, so I just end up resigning, and that right there is a big L for us. Don't usually advocate resigning on turn 1, but in that scenario I really thought like, yeah, there's nothing I can do when they're going to continue milling and setting up a board. So Konami, if you're watching this, bring Empin back, please. Like, the deck is really limited. Like, you can't do anything. I don't understand how Tearlaments is basically still at full power, but you want to nerf FLOOWANDEREEZE. Alright, shaking the salt off from that last match. No, I'm kidding. I mean, those happen. There's nothing you can do. The next match, we also go second. So we got the Dark Ruler and we got Robina to play. The opponent reveals it on Labrynth. So standard setup. Can we deal with this? Let's find out. We draw Toucan for turn. We're going to start off with the Duality, of course. The opponent now instantly knows what we're on. And we reveal the Lightning Storm, which is absolutely crazy. We play 1 of this and the Duster. 1 of Duster, obviously. And we actually get into the Lightning Storm. And we have Engine rolling. We have Advent for map. Look at what the opponent does. They're really trying to make me not activate my Lightning Storm here because they pop Big Welcome with the Labrynth and activate Big Welcome, bouncing back, I think it was, yeah, Silver Castle here. And I'm like, nope, I'm still outing your 1-of field spell because that in the grind game is insane. And my deck, now that I can set up, should be insane enough to outplay you. So notice what we do here first is we summon the Robina to try to bait a negate. And that's really, really important because you can see here that we do indeed bait out the Ash Blossom. Now that we've cleared that, we can go into Advent, get the Robina off field so that we can get map because Toucan is the bird that we have to play with. We activate map, banish the Eaglin, Toucan effect, grab Eaglin, and bring back Robina to hand. So this will prevent me from using the Eaglin effect in the banish pile, which means I could bring it back again if I wanted to. But this allows us to still go full rotation into Empin. Now, unfortunately, we can't get the Unexplored Winds, and that is the card that wins you the match in the Labrynth matchup here. And the opponent smartly waits to summon their lady after the Empin attacks, otherwise we could just beat over it because it's not protected since it has no set cards. We set our Dreaming Town and pass. The opponent is going to opt to bounce our Empin, and I'm like, that's actually helpful to me, so I don't know why you would do that. They switch their lady to attack mode here, and I'm like, okay, that's not great either. Yeah, you're going to get a set of card, but now my Empin will negate you as well. Nonetheless, though, it doesn't even matter because off this rotation here, we are going to be able to set up the Unexplored Winds. The opponent will have a decent grind game set up because they have obviously 3 traps that they can extend off of, but we are going to do our best here to interrupt them. And they do have another Big Welcome that they can use in Graveyard, right? So off the first one, we're going to flip the Lady face down with the Trap card and grab Unexplored Winds. Summon Stree, banish the second Big Welcome since they've already used 1 already, and then bring out the Toucan to grab the trap that we just banished for the effect. And then the opponent kind of realizes, yeah, that's GG's. We were probably going to Rise of there, stack their deck, and clear out one of their back rows. The connection failed. I don't know if they were kind of frustrated that we outed their cards with the Lightning Storm, but hey, it is what it is. That's why we play those cards now for Labrynth, and it came in clutch in that matchup. Moving on to this next match here, our opening hand is Eaglin, Shifter, Duality, Pot of Prosperity, and Dark Ruler no more. So pretty solid, assuming we can unbrick. We're going to start with the duality here, which is a risky, but I wanted to see if I could bait a pot first. And it doesn't really matter if the deck gets shuffled. So off of the 3 revealed, we're going to take the other bird and toucan. Unfortunately, we're still not able to play. We do activate the prosperity and we reveal the Robina there. And we have to take Robina. I would have taken an advent over Robina because that gets me to map, which gets me to Robina anyways, but this is fine. The opponent obviously doesn't have Ash, and thankfully they didn't have Imperm, because Imperm would also stop me here, and we're going to be able to set up. Now notice here, because I have more than one bird to start off with, I can actually go into map here. So I go for advent off the Empin search, grab map, and then map effect, so that I can get all my birds in rotation. The toucan will bring back the banished Empin off of the Advent of Adventure, and this is one of the ways that you can get map and trap card in rotation. Unfortunately, you know, if you watch my videos last season, you were able to get like all 3 power spells in rotation, but that's not a thing anymore because of one Empin. So again, Konami, you know, this deck is severely limited. Please bring back the multiple Empin. It was a mistake to limit them. You've completely killed this deck in my opinion. So yeah, the opponent attempts to go battle phase, so that triggers our trap obviously. We're going to go ahead and go full rotation here, which might be a mistake, but we'll see how it pans out. So we're going to go into the Apex Avion here, and we're playing it to Super Poly. The opponent reveals Spright, and at the first instance I wanted to negate the Jet, because I'm like, you can't go into any of your link plays because Empin stops it. The opponent kind of realizes that, and I wanted to avoid getting Zeused, so that's why I got the Apex off the field, but the opponent ends up surrendering. I guess, yeah, there's nothing really they can do there, unfortunately, but yeah, it was a GG Empin. Good against Link monsters. Alright, this next matchup here is absolutely crazy, and I'm like, okay, the game's going to start bricking me soon, right? And sure enough, double Dark Ruler, we only play 2, Book of Moon, Lightning Storm, and Advent of Adventure. At least we can likely unbrick with a bird, but again, the odds that the opponent doesn't have Ash is pretty low. Ash or Imperm, they probably got 1. We draw Shifter, and we just Lightning Storm, chaining Shifter here. The opponent chains Maxi, and I'm like, that's great actually. And we actually out a Skill Drain and a Super Poly, so I'm like, alright, so they're on some kind of Labrynth deck maybe, but Super Poly, you know, is or isn't played in Labrynth sometimes, or they're on some kind of stun, not really stun, Runick variant, Runick Floodgate variant, which is concerning because that's hard for this deck to beat. We do finally draw Toucan, so the Advent is live, grabbing Robina, and the opponent somehow does not have any other interruptions. So we're going to go ahead and grab Empin here off full rotation, and now we're going to be able to search for map again. So battle phase, attack, the opponent golden droplets into a Jerry, which will pop the Empin, and I'm like, that's totally fine. Activate map effect, reveal Toucan to banish trap, and then summon Toucan and grab trap. So you can see some of the unique ways that I'm able to get, you know, map and trap card in rotation with just one Empin. These are some of the unique ways that you can do that. It's not the greatest, right? Obviously not nearly as strong as it was before with 2 Empin, because you end on Empin and stuff, but it is what it is. It's what you have to do, and it does severely weaken the deck. So during the opponent's turn here, we're going to activate Dreaming Town and go full rotation with all the birds. Unfortunately, we can't bring back the Empin here, so we're just going to go into Apex and leave the Stree and the Eaglin on board. This does open us up to Super Poly, but it also opens us up to Sphere Mode. Thankfully, it counts as a normal summon, so we will summon the Toucan, which is the bird we haven't used yet, and grab the Empin that was banished, tributing off their Sphere Mode as well. They have the Runick Fountain, they activate Flashing Fire to bring out Huggin here, discard, and yeah, going to be able to draw 3, which isn't great, because I'm like, as long as you don't draw a Floodgate, I should be alright, and they grab the second Fountain. They activate the second Fountain, and opt to protect the Hugin to trigger to draw 2, yep. And they're back up to 4 cards in hand, and this is kind of scary. They set 2 back row. They banish Book evenly and Dancer. So this is a little rough. We do end up going for the Unexplored Winds here, which is super strong if we can resolve it. The opponent does not opt to activate any interruptions, and I'm like, okay, no goes in or rivalry wouldn't do anything against us. Or, you know, we outed Skill Drain already. There can only be 1 is the big thing that beats us. We're going to go into Ryza and attempt to start to spin back the opponent's cards, and then flip the Huggin face down just to get the trap card in rotation. The opponent reveals Super Poly, which isn't great, but it's manageable. I forgot that I meant to actually put the Apex back on top of the deck, so now I'm just down to basically Snowl in my deck, as well as recycling my Empin. So again, Konami, you know, this deck gets beaten so easily now with just the 1 Empin. Please allow us to play 2 Empins. It is the engine and the heart and soul of the deck. Nonetheless, we will end up using Unexplored Winds to draw 2. And then the Toucan can easily beat over the 0/0 Huggin, and we out the Garua as well, getting them a net draw. But we're feeling okay. We don't have Trap card, but we do have Unexplored Winds if the opponent does normal summon, but they probably won't. They go Battle Phase evenly matched, and I've talked about this many times. This is why you want the Advent with your Empen to save it, and then we're fine banishing all the rest of the cards. The Book of Moon is the only real loss. We've got a second Unexplored Winds. We keep our map. One of our Empen was banished face up off Advent, and Advent getting banished isn't a big deal. Toucan getting banished gets banished face up despite being even lead, so we are totally fine. So in this scenario, we start with the Eaglin now on our turn, grab the Snow, and the first thing I'm going to do is out the opponent's back row, and it is a Runick Dispelling, so that's totally fine. We activate Snowl Effect to summon an additional 2 times. We're going to start banishing their Fountain so they cannot bring it back with Jerry. And now we're going to get full rotation here, tributing off the Maxi that we stacked on top of their deck with the Ryza before it was super polyed away. And we go into Empen here, and this is going to hurt the opponent quite badly, putting them pretty low. We set 2 once again on that Advent of Adventure, just so that we don't have to discard. And now the opponent ends up drawing another Dispelling, going into Jerry, grabbing a Fountain, the last one in their deck, or, you know, that's not banished, I guess, because they got it back from the graveyard. Realizing they can't do anything and they're still going to lose next turn, and the Snowl does piercing damage, the opponent ends up scooping it up. So huge brick on our end, I guess on the opponent's too, and we still are able to come back and take that one. Right, so at this stage, we are now 1 win away from Master 5, and I'm like, oh, this should be sick if I can just go on a 4-win streak. We win the coin toss here, which is obviously super beneficial, but all we can do is normal summon Robina, and the opponent thankfully does not have an interruption, so we are able to go for the Empen here, and the opponent gifts me the promotion game and resigning turn 1, so thank you to the opponent, and just like that, we hit Master 5 on that Sunday evening.